Hello everyone, this is going to be a little bit eclectic, but of course a teaching video, because between August 22nd and 24th, a number of things are happening. By themselves, if we take a look at them each, nothing is really so very unusual or important, but within 2 days, there's a T-square between Jupiter, Venus, retrograde Venus, Jupiter, and Hygiea. There's also a stationary Mercury, and the Sun is moving into Virgo, and Mercury is turning retrograde. So these are 3 or 4 events that I'm going to show you in detail. Let's take a look at the chart itself, the starting chart, which is the Venus Jupiter Hygiea fixed T-square, not fixes, but fixed. Yeah, I'm always making mistakes. The reason for this is very simple. I usually type it up first in Hungarian, and then I just change the charts, because I have to move it in for an hour, because the Budapest chart is always an hour ahead of the London chart. And I need to redo the drawings as well. And this is a lot of, let me tell you, so in order to present things for you, I work about 2-3 hours for each. So it means that 3-4 hours for the Hungarian and the English version. So I do put a lot of energy and effort into it, and I apologize because there may be some mistakes there which I don't always recognize. Anyhow, so there's going to be a fixed T-square, which we are going to look at in a minute. But the London chart, which is exactly, the T-square itself is becoming exact at 13:17 London time. You have a Scorpio rising. Jupiter is on the descendant, which actually, if this was a person's chart, we would say that this is a lucky marriage or a lucky spouse or someone that is presenting us with luck from the outside coming into our lives. In karmic astrology, it's a little bit, we say something else for it, because you simply give your luck and your expansion to your spouse, to your partner, and you need to receive it back in order to feel lucky. So it's a little bit, the emphasis is in a different way. As you can see, Mercury is already stationary, and it's conjunct Pallas Athena. But as I said, I mentioned it in a couple of earlier videos, they are not going to be exactly conjunct because Mercury is turning retrograde, and will again conjoin Mars maybe 10 days later. On the midheaven, you have trans-Pluto, dimension jump, and the Sun, which is almost moving into Virgo. It's at the last degree of Leo. So it's actually practically conjunct what do you call it? Regulus, one of the brightest stars, of course, in the sky. And Mercury will be stationary on August 22nd, 23rd, so for 2 days. And what else is here? The West Austria conjunction is still going to be there. It's going to be there until November, focusing on karma breaking. The Aries North Node conjunction is also there. This is an applying conjunction, which means that your destiny choices for this period is linked to drastically altered outward circumstances. This is what you can see all across the board. It's very interesting how, if you come to think of it, the whole world is crazy. It's things are happening that we didn't think possible even 5 years ago. And what the powers that we did with COVID and with the lockdowns and with the mandatory things, they were kind of preconditioning people to comply. And luckily, majority of the people decided not to comply, which is brilliant, but because that's the only way we can fight against these bastards. And the midpoint structure for Uranus involving Jupiter and Sedna is again still there. I'm not going to tell you this because I mentioned this in detail in the previous video. And on the IC you have Saturn, so we need this anchor. The Saturn here has an anchoring effect. It also shows that there is deprivation or austerity or hardship within the home. And I know that a lot of people are struggling. Winter is coming, so we need to rethink how we are going to fuel our homes, how and what we are going to eat. Don't believe the Greens. Don't believe the vegans. Don't ever believe them. Eat what you want, what you desire. Drive what you want, what you can. Don't comply. This is what I can tell you. Anyhow, let's take a look at the T-square, which is the major attraction in this chart. So there's a fixed T-square involving retrograde Venus in Leo, Jupiter in Taurus, and Hygiea, retrograde Hygiea in Aquarius. Now, this Venus is retrograde. It's a powerful Venus because it's in Leo, so it's bright and shiny and showy. But at the same time, it's retrograde, so it's also reticent and moving inward. But it also rules Jupiter in Taurus. And the T-square between them shows that there is this clash between little luck and big luck. There's also a clash between personal well-being and expansion. And Hygiea adds to the picture the fact that we need order in our lives. We need some sort of decency. We need security and harmony and well-being. That's what Hygiea represents when it functions well. At the moment, it's retrograde, so we won't be able to find it truly. And the apex of the T-square is Jupiter, which means that this is where the push, the energy is spiraling towards. Now, whenever I see a fixed T-square, I always look at, I'm trying to find another corner, to see what else is there, because a T-square is a lopsided energy. It's half the circle only. So you have the energy accumulated on one side of the chart, and the other side is empty. So it's a lopsided energy, and it's always worthwhile trying to find any outlet or a redeeming point, or even a grand cross, because then the energy swirl is much more even. But let's take a look at first at the transcendental celestial objects on retrograde Venus, which again indicates that you need to look inward in order to find security, harmony, love. It simply means that all retrograde planets denote karmic wounds, karmic issues that are not working properly. They work inwardly, they work magnetically, and you usually find the answers within and not without. And on Venus, you have Pan, which means everything, and also huge scares. So it symbolizes what happens when you are really, really frightened, deeply frightened, because you either freeze or you all of a sudden amass a huge amount of energy, and you flee and you bolt, and you are able to come out of the situation. Shiva is the third turning point of the Trimurti, which is the destroyer. Which it's very important that if something gets destroyed, a lot of energy is coming into being, and you can utilize this incoming energy for something new. So you need to get rid of the old stuff that is no longer functioning, and in this process, new energies are coming into life, which you can utilize for the new phase. And that's what Shiva represents. And so it's both destroying and renewing stuff. And then wisdom, of course, means that you need wisdom in this space-time moment. And there's one fixed star linked to the placement Dubhe, which is the alpha star of Ursa Major, 2 magnitude stars, quite a bright star. And then it's not alpha. Yeah, it's alpha. Sorry. Yes, it's alpha. Anyhow, on Jupiter, you have another interesting mixture. First of all, there's Almach and Menkar. Almach is Gamma Andromeda, and Menkar is Alpha Cetus. And so the Alpha star of the celestial veil, and it is at the liminal space between Taurus and Aries, and it is the emergence of the subconscious, the energies and ideas and hidden stuff of the subconscious is coming into light. And Almach represents feminine power and feminine, Almach, interestingly, the word Almach in Hebrew means virgin. And so Gamma Andromeda is the virgin itself. And then on Hygiea, you have Eros. Eros, which means creation through wishes, through want, through desire. And this is the strongest of the creation energies. Actually, there are three types of basic creations: logos, eros, and chaos. Chaos is creation out of nothing. Logos is creation through ideas and order and words, and eros is creation through desire and want. And that's on Hygiea. So we have the power to recreate something through desire. And as I said, I'm usually looking at things that can complete this T-square whenever I see a T-square. And by the way, this is a fixed T-square, so the original one, a fixed T-square, which is the strongest among the three types: cardinal, mutable, and fixed, because fixed means something that is deeply ingrained, either karmically or just in your own life. And as you can see on the opposition point for Jupiter, which is also the ascendant of the London chart, you have Dionysus, another desire thing, because Dionysus is also altered states of consciousness through desire, through the wine. And the story of Dionysus is fascinating because it is one of the bloodiest Greek stories, and also the most beautiful love affair is, and also marriage is also linked to Dionysus. Check it out. And then there's Orcus, who was the underworld for the Etruscan people, and he ruled the Etruscan underworld. But besides that, he was responsible for punishment of broken oaths, and also the guardian of hidden treasures. That is Orcus, it's a Plutino type of object, celestial objects. So Orcus is really dissolving this fixed ground cross between the four celestial objects. And on August 23rd at 10:01 London time, the sun is entering Virgo. Now, I hardly ever do ingress charts for the sun because, I mean, they're obviously shifting energy. The reason why I'm actually even looking at this point in time is simply because we are in between the T-square I described, the Jupiter Venus Hygiea T-square, and the retrograde Mercury, and in between we have the sun's ingress. So this shift from shiny, proud, playful Leo into hardworking, servicing Virgo, who is really serious. And this portion of time, I mean, if you look at the time actually in the year, the space-time moment is filled with work, filled, especially in old times when we needed to put things into larders and jars, and we needed to make preserves, and the grain had to be put into boxes and jars and things to restore, to keep them safe. Otherwise, we would have died of hunger. We would have starved to death. And so it's a serious period when you need to take everything seriously, and you need to be worried in order to survive the next half year. So that's kind of important. So it's an important moment in time. Here you can see that Mercury is still stationary. The same midpoint structure is there. The same North Node, Aries conjunction, the same. Vesta, Austria conjunction are there. So everything is the same. If you take a look at the three main charts in this video, you will see that nothing is really moving except for the moon. In the previous chart, we had, here it is somewhere, we had the moon at the early degrees of Scorpio on the 22nd. And then a day later, we still have it in Scorpio. But you can assess that a day later, it will already be at the early degrees of Sagittarius. So only the moon is really moving fast enough to have new energy patterns. Nothing, and of course the sun is definitely moving into Virgo, and with it, it is exactly going to be conjunct, and I can use the word conjunct Regulus, the alpha star of Leo, because Regulus is on the ecliptic and actually at a declinational point where the sun is. So there's always an exact irregular sun conjunction. I was thinking of making a separate video, but I decided not to, because you are smart enough to follow what I'm saying. And then on the August 24th, a day later at 9 p.m. London time, Mercury turns retrograde. And from that point onward, we have a number of retrograde celestial objects. And maybe the most important thing is that out of the 5 so-called personal planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, the Sun and the Moon can never be retrograde. And out of the remaining 3, both Mercury and Venus are retrograde at this moment. Mercury will be retrograde until the middle of September. So for 3 weeks, we will have these 2 planets, a personal purse, so to speak, work inwardly for us. So it's not something that you find in the outside world. It's not something that you will find at somebody else. You need to work inwardly. And again, the same aspect, the same configurations will be there. Just to show you I'm going to show you the 3 main charts here. You can do that separately. Here's the first one on the 22nd, a little bit after midday. As you can see, half the chart is almost empty. Actually, 2 houses are completely empty, and everything is on the western horizon at that space-time moment. The next chart, a day later, is very, very similar. Again, you have the majority of the charts of the planets up there. So 1/2 of the chart is occupied, really. 3/4 actually. And then the third chart, very similar. Again, you have a couple of things up there, but the majority is down here. So you have these emphasis. So let's take a look at these retrograde planets, because they are important from a self-development, self-evolutionary viewpoint. They simply allow us to look inward, to find answers inside ourselves, and not go out there at large in the outside world, not attack and tackle outside tasks. It gives us, whenever there are majority of retrograde planets, it gives us the potential to sit down and kind of chill, take it easy, and try to find answers within. With Mercury, obviously, it means that there's going to be a 3-week period. Yes, I know a lot of astrologers say that it's horrible because you're going to lose things and misunderstandings and lost letters and emails and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. But at the same time, it gives you the period to just chill, to concentrate on how you think, what you think, who you think about, and what you think about these people. And what you think about the world at large outside there. Venus, we just discussed it. Find solutions inside. Find financial and romantic solutions inside. Don't look for someone in the outside world. My master Judy Hall told me when she was about 68 years old, if I don't find someone. Or if I can't find my twin flame by the age of 70, I'm leaving. And I was really sorry for her, because she meant it. And actually, couple of years later, yes, she just, she passed away last year on August 5th, and I miss her terribly. But at the same time, she kind of orchestrated it because she wanted to find her twin flame. And for some reason, she couldn't or wouldn't, because the stories are always on two levels. On one level, you consciously want this. And if this is not really complying with your tasks and the wish of your own spiritual essence, then it's not going to happen, unfortunately, and you need to reconcile the two somehow. So yeah, that's what retrograde Venus can help you with. And then retrograde Saturn is funny, because whoever is born with a retrograde Saturn, it gives you the potential to find the fault in yourself and to see your own boundaries, but also your own restrictions, and not to push them on others. Retrograde Chiron is very, very typical and very frequent. You will see it frequently, simply because it makes Chiron, of course, worse than direct Chiron, because it means that you took it upon you very, very deeply. You suffered through it in a deep way. You were being punished, or there were extra punishments. So it's not a nice placement when you have retrograde Chiron. And yes, you will find the fault for your karmic wounds in yourself. I always say, and this is not just what I say, it is what psychologists say, that in the dichotomy of murderer and victim, the victim is at least as responsible as the murderer. So there's always this, it's very, 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 it's very hard to speak about this, because obviously who wants to die and who wants to be murdered? No one. But still, our behavior triggers certain behaviors in others. And if you come to think of it, how many times you were saying stuff to your loved ones, to your brother, sister, father, mother, boss, lover, child, things that you didn't really feel truth, but you need a kind of, you felt compelled to say, and later on you realize it was a big mistake, simply because you wanted to show your best intentions, your best phase, and you couldn't, simply because it wasn't you. So that's something that that Chiron, retrograde Chiron, adds to the picture, and it's even more painful. Retrograde Neptune will help you to seek and find something transcendental and something uniquely esoteric in yourself, something that is really some mystical experience, which helps you to go either above or beyond the ordinary. So it's actually not that bad. And retrograde Pluto means that you can't really function too well in power situations. You either push it too far, or you don't exercise your own power. So you have a problem with power. And then with Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances, retrograde periods, which there are many retrograde periods because it has a very elliptical orbit, give you the potential to look inside and try to find situations in drastically altered outward circumstances. And we are in such period of time. So those are all retrograde, and of course Hygiea as well, which means that you need to look inside to understand your needs, to create harmony and function properly in your own environment, to create sacred spaces, health, and well-being. And it's not always a question of money. It's a question of how you live and what you do and how you prepare for each day. This is it. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.